In every corner of the world, stories emerge that transcend their origins and embed themselves into the cultural and historical fabric of entire nations. Among these legends, the tales of King Arthur and Merlin stand out, with their magic, heroism, and mystery. Though many have treated the Arthurian legends as pure fiction, their roots stretch deep into historical events, places, and people, creating a fascinating intersection of myth and history. Recent discoveries may now provide tangible connections to the ancient legend of Merlin. Most commonly associated with the courts of King Arthur, Merlin is often portrayed as a wise and powerful sage. However, these new findings in the borders of Scotland are beginning to challenge the conventional narrative, instead uncovering a much darker and more tragic figure. These discoveries have linked Merlin not only to ancient Scottish history, but also to a grim and obscure fate in the village of Drumelzier. This small community located by the River Tweed has long been rumored to be Merlin's final resting place. The excavation of long-forgotten sites, hillforts, and burial mounds has now offered new evidence that may unravel the murky layers of the Merlin legend, revealing a tale far more complex and grim than the one popularized in medieval literature. The figure of Merlin is central to Arthurian legend, a collection of stories that have evolved over centuries, blending historical elements with folklore, magic, and myth. Merlin is often depicted as an elderly, wise, and powerful magician, considered an advisor to King Arthur, guiding the young monarch with foresight and magical prowess. His role in Arthurian legend is inseparable from tales of Camelot, the Knights of the Round Table, and the quest for the Holy Grail. Though his exact origins are debated, many believe Merlin's character draws from multiple historical and mythological sources. One possible root of the Merlin legend lies in the 6th century figure Myrddin Wyllt, a mad prophet from the Welsh tradition who lived in the wilderness after witnessing a brutal battle. Myrddin's retreat into madness, his wandering in the forests, and his cryptic prophecies inspired elements of the later Merlin narrative. Another influence may have been Ambrosius Aurelianus, a Romano-British leader who helped resist the Saxon invasions. As these historical figures were merged and reshaped in medieval tales, Merlin evolved into a symbol of wisdom and magic, a trusted advisor to King Arthur, helping to shape his reign and ultimately his downfall. Despite his glorified portrayal in Arthurian legend, many early sources, such as Geoffrey of Monmouth's Vita Merlini or The Life of Merlin, present a more complex and troubled character. This Merlin is not always the noble sage of the medieval romances, but a wild man living in the woods, prone to fits of madness and riddled with dark prophecies. The setting of his life and death often varies, but one claim suggests that Merlin met his end not in the courts of Camelot, but in the rugged landscape of southern Scotland. It is in the village of Drumelzier, where a new chapter of this ancient tale is unfolding. In 2022, archaeologists from GUARD Archaeology embarked on a mission to uncover the roots of the Merlin legend in Drumelzier, a small village in the Borders region. For centuries, local folklore has tied Merlin to this location, with claims that he was imprisoned and ultimately died here, his body supposedly laid to rest on the banks of the River Tweed. The project aimed to investigate the historical and archaeological basis of these claims. The findings were nothing short of remarkable. Through a combination of geophysical surveys and excavations, the team uncovered an archaeological feature near what is reputed to be Merlin's grave, a feature resembling a burial site. This discovery suggests that the legendary figure's final resting place could indeed lie in Drumelzier. Further excavations at Tinnis Fort, a prominent hill fort overlooking the grave, provided additional context. The fort, occupied during the late 6th and early 7th centuries AD, matches the time frame when Merlin is believed to have lived, aligning historical geography with the legend. The nature of Tinnis Fort itself paints a vivid picture. Archaeologists noted that it bore the hallmarks of a lordly stronghold, possibly the seat of a petty king or chieftain. This raises the possibility that the Merlin of Drumelzier was not the grand wizard of Arthurian fame, but rather a troubled, possibly imprisoned figure under the control of a local ruler. The legend of Merlin's death here becomes more credible as the fort's timeline aligns with the late post-Roman period, a time when hill forts were rare and often housed elite members of society. What sets this discovery apart from other depictions of Merlin is the stark contrast in how the character is portrayed. The Merlin associated with Drumelzier is not the respected advisor who guides kings and heroes. He is a far more tragic figure. According to the local legend, Merlin was a man plagued by madness and prone to spouting riddles and obscure prophecies. Rather than being a revered figure, he was kept prisoner by a small-time tyrant in a forgotten kingdom. His death, too, is far from heroic. Instead, it is described as gruesome, a result of court intrigue and betrayal. This grim image of Merlin contrasts sharply with his portrayal in the more popular legends. Rather than being the embodiment of wisdom and power, this Merlin was vulnerable, his magic intertwined with madness, his prophecies misunderstood or ignored. The hill fort at Tinnis may have been where he lived out his final days, a prisoner rather than a ruler, and his story passed down through local folklore before spreading across Europe and evolving into the figure we recognize today. The discoveries did not end with Tinnis Fort. Across the Tweed at Thirlestane Barrows, archaeologists uncovered the remains of two individuals buried in a square barrow, dating back to between the late 3rd and late 6th centuries AD. These individuals were of exceptional elite status, indicated by the elaborate nature of their burial. Though their identities remain unknown, their graves suggest that the area around Drumelzier was a significant center of power during this period. These barrows, alongside the Bronze Age round barrows that dot the landscape, demonstrate that the region was a place of ancient significance, its history layered with the stories of those who lived and died there. Even older traces of human activity were discovered on the summit of Tinnis Hill, where fragments of Mesolithic and early Neolithic flint blades were recovered. These fragments are evidence of the first human groups to ascend the hill thousands of years before Merlin's time. Such findings further emphasize the deep historical roots of this landscape, a place where legends have long flourished, nourished by the memories of ancient peoples. While the new archaeological evidence offers compelling clues that suggest Merlin's legend may indeed be deeply rooted in Drumelzier, we are still awaiting further research to uncover more conclusive details. The discoveries at Tinnis Fort, the grave-like feature near the River Tweed, and the elite burials at Thirlestane Barrows all point to a significant historical presence in the area during the time Merlin is said to have lived. With ongoing investigations, we may soon be closer to unveiling the full truth behind this legendary figure. Thank you for watching and joining us on this journey through the legends and history of Merlin in the Scottish borders. The mysteries of the past continue to captivate and inspire, and with each new discovery, we come closer to unraveling the truth behind these age-old tales. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more explorations into ancient history, archaeology, and the fascinating stories that have shaped our world. Stay tuned for more captivating insights, and until next time, keep exploring the wonders of our past.